Tens, I just wanted to talk you through a bit of an example of the infographic that I've asked you to do. So it's not overly complicated, but I'm conscious that you've probably got lots of different day map tasks going on at the moment. So I wanted to keep it pretty simple so we don't feel like we're overloaded before we come back next week. But when you do come back next week, I'd like you to have something a bit like this example here. So this is the Rhetorical Device Persuasive Infographic. Here we have an example of alliteration, all about alliteration, even getting alliteration into the title. So what you should have here, I'll zoom out so we can see it all in one go to begin with. There we can see the whole thing there, all about alliteration. We've got a section on the definition, how it helps persuade. That's the key part for us in our unit of work, and examples of alliteration down the bottom. That's pretty much all you need, just to set out nicely so it's easy to read on the wall from a distance. So here we've got the title, all about alliteration. As I said, bonus points for fitting it in there. Let's go into our definition. Alliteration, when a sentence or phrase that has words adjacent or closely connected that all start with the same letter. As a slight technicality, I'd say it's the sound rather than the letter. For example, if you were talking about fish and phones, I think I would still call that alliteration, even though we've got the PH for phones, but that's not really that relevant. It's a bit of a technicality. How it helps persuade. So this is really the key part that I wanted you to think about, because some of these aren't typically we wouldn't typically think of these as rhetorical or persuasive devices. So alliteration, we start hearing alliterative examples right from when we first learn language. It's one of the first examples of sort of kids' stories, kids' books. We'll start hearing it there, but we don't think of it of how it helps persuade usually. So that's why I want you to focus on this section. This is probably the part that counts the most for these infographics. So here we've got how it helps persuade. Alliteration can persuade by grabbing your attention and can emphasize words, making the piece more memorable. It can also add a mood to the text or convey positive emotions. It can remind us a bit of that childlike sense of play with words and things like that. So I would say can make a text lighthearted. So I think that's a really good explanation of how it helps persuade as well. And then we've just got examples down here. By this big, buzzy, busy bee. Feed Fred, the funky frog. Never neglect nerdy Ned. He is terrific at teaching timetable. Pretty basic examples. That's really all you need to do. As I said, some people have slightly more complex or complicated examples than others. If you find yourself finishing early, you've got a whole lesson free today, maybe see if you can find one of the trickier ones and double up and do one of them. But I'm not going to chase you around the classroom making sure you do one of them. All right, good luck in doing this. As I said, hopefully I can have a whole wall of these up in our classroom, and we can divide them up into pathos, ethos, logos, and maybe even language devices as well. If yours is looking a bit like this, good work.